Hello, everyone. I believe we are online now and we've reached, of course, it's the second day and this is the last session of the Virtual Bahrain Conference and Exhibition, Virtual Bahrain 2020. I am honored to be here with you today. My name is Sarah Al-Fath. I'm going to introduce our speakers for this last session, which is the online news transformation, current trends and challenges. We're going to start with our first speaker, Ms. Safa Kanj, Agency France Press. Of course, Ms. Safa is going to present to us today, and she is a news editor, Agence France Press. Within her reporting and editing, of course, side, she's been working as a reporter and copy editor with the French news agency Middle East Bureau since 1990, and during those long years, she has covered several countries in the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and the United States. And she also cooperated with the BBC TV from Cyprus. Mustafa, I know if you can first introduce yourself to our audience, and then the floor is all yours.
So, مساء الخير كلكم. أنا هاي تجربة كتير غريبة علي. This is the first time I do this virtual presentation. I don't know how it works. Do we have any audience? Are there people who are going to answer questions? Are there people who are going to send us their question online? How is it streamed? I mean, I will start and we see later. Okay.
It is streamed online, don't worry. And once we have any questions, once you're done with your presentation, we're going to have a discussion session with all of you, and then we can address any questions asked.
Okay, great. So today I'm going to talk about one side of these challenges that we are facing with online journalism and online media, which is how to be able to survive. Sustainability, it's mainly. So everybody know it's not news if I say that media outlet and newspaper, they are passing through a very, very hard time these days. So this was known even before COVID, although some of them made profit and were able to enlarge their reach during the COVID pandemic. So national and local newspapers everywhere are closing down. Okay, and we have documented, I mean, a lot of document about this phenomena, especially in the US and the UK, where we have a lot of data about it. So what they are doing, some of them are laying off journalists, others are limiting their coverage, and others are like canceling totally their international reach because they want to cut their losses. So are you presenting the presentation? Can they see it? Or do I have to have it here?
You can present from your side.
You can share it from your side.
Yes.
Yeah, but when I share it from my, how do I share it? Switch camera, switch.
Share screen on the bottom.
If you click on the screen, on the bottom, there's share screen right in the middle.
We're sharing it for you.
I don't have it.
So you'll not be. We're sharing it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Ready when you are, Ms. Safa.
Yeah. Okay. So as we said, so when we say that everything, can you roll the second one, please? Can you go to the second slide?
My dear screen, are you there?
To the second, I mean, they have to roll the second slide, third slide quickly. So what I'm going to say is, what is happening here? What is happening that we all know that news don't make money, and that we need a huge budget to be able to make good news. So what about when we work so hard to produce the content and then someone else come and reap benefits? Slide 3, please. So newspaper and digital news badly need advertising to survive, but advert revenues are collapsing, while Google and Facebook, as we see, ad revenues are skyrocketing. The third one, 2, 3. Okay, as you see here, how is it happening? I mean, thanks to a problem of the media we face, it's called attribution problem. And what it is, these guys, Facebook and Google, they use a content they do not create to make money. So on the other hand, users, they want free news. So what do they get in the end? At first, when you go and when you do a search and you receive genuine news, but soon later you will get a mixture of news and advertising. And most of the time later, you will get little news with a lot of advertising. So nothing is really for free and someone has to pay for it. Maybe it is convenient for us users now at the short term, but it is likely what is happening, it is killing objective journalism. And the only free news is a news with an agenda. And we see always this articles with biased headline, we see certain angle to them. We will never be able to read an independent point of view without paying for it. And rarely we can access free and objective news. And those who are providing it are struggling. A lot of independent providers are really struggling to be able to survive and to continue providing us with this news that we mostly want. Okay, and then, so as you could see here on the presentation on the slide, you see that Google and Facebook are reaping 64% of the internet advert revenues, while the rest of the companies of all sorts have to compete for the remaining 36%. So we are talking here about consolidation, we are talking here about monopoly. This is a problem that they are not able to solve because the marketplace, the kind of marketplace we have is a marketplace that protects these companies. So far, they have been able to protect them. Okay, so just yesterday, for example, Facebook announced the creation of a climate science information center. Again, it is all about mixing news with advert. And we may even be going towards digital news consolidation. So while they are dominating the virtual space, the virtual life, I mean our life, these giant companies, they use their algorithm to study users' behavior and draw profiles. Based on this, we are served with a mixture of some news and a lot of advert, all presented as news. Can we switch to 4, please? Okay, so first, news outlet wanted to increase their traffic. So what did they do? They started what is called the clickbait. It's a kind of sensational headlines to lure visitors and gain views, but even a huge reach is not enough. So for this, we are going to take the example of BuzzFeed, which was created in 2006 to reach 200 million unique visitors per month in 2016. And it's even reported that they have reached a global audience of 600 million in 2020. They were very creative. They were able to attract young users. All these slogans that we see, be creative, attract users, young users. They even report that 70% of their traffic is mobile, and they energetically publish 700 pieces of news every day. All this was not enough. They thought that their content reach was a marker of their volume and that it would give them a financial strength. But what happened after boasting about a global coverage and global reach, few months ago in May, they stopped their operations in the UK and Australia to decrease their losses. So even at their peak, they were not able to compete with Google and Facebook. They were able to make a global profit of $300 million in advert revenues, while Google and Facebook made respectively 21 billion and 18 billion in the second quarter this year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic. So BuzzFeed was seen as a success story by a lot of new entrepreneurs who wanted to enter the field of the media. And they saw their audience grow fast in the digital age, but that was not enough. Even when the 18 to 34 years old make a large part of their audience it was about 60% as they reported. But what is the problem with young readers? Young readers, it's okay. Young readers pay less in advertising. And so advertisers, they don't have anymore an interest to go to these publications who are attracting young readers, but they will go to more energetic applications like Snapchat and TikTok. So whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the outlet? Is it the fault of these like entrepreneur who didn't know how to map, how to plan exactly? No, in my opinion, it's a failure of a marketplace where the strong get stronger and where giants like Google and Facebook dominate the markets. So who can compete with them? In this slide, I wanted to show you something here that we talk about it. We can go to the which one is this one? 5. So to being submerged with advertising, what users did, they went to put ad blockers on their screens, and with ad blockers, news outlet, they cannot reach them, so they cannot make money. Okay, so the dynamics are changing. Number 6, please. Okay, we have talked about the story of BuzzFeed, which was painful. It was very creative, but it was painful in the end because they started losing money. And let's take a successful example with the New York Times, okay? Knowing that, yes, surely, we know that they have been there since 1851, so 160 something years, and that they are still distributing 840,000 print copies per day. And their print version is still sustainable even without advert so far, okay? So New York Times reported 5 million subscribers at the beginning of 2020, and they reported gaining 51 million in advert online compared with 55 million from the print copy. So you see, the print copy is still making more money than the digital copy, although they have 5 million, and even that now they reported that they may have reached 6 million subscribers online, people who are willing to pay for the news. Nonetheless, the advert revenues are collapsing online and in print, but what is saving them is their subscriptions. They have a lot of subscribers and they are making money there, but still they are not making enough money from the online versus the digital one, versus the print one. The print is still making more money. So my questions now, how are they doing? So somebody will ask, how are they able to do it, the New York Times, and what shall we do if we take them as an example of success in all time, print and online? It is that it's to understand what they are providing. They are providing valuable news sources. They are providing valuable content when they focus on impact more than focusing on the traffic. They understand their users and they report creating habits for them to come back and subscribe and then pay money for good news. So I'll now give you the floor and to share, maybe you could share with me your ideas about how to find media bias, skewed headlines, and guarantee objective reporting. What do you think we shall do? Do you think we should pay for the news? Do you think we should contribute to support media outlet? We all strive for objective and honest reporting. How could we support it?
Thank you
Okay.
very much, Masafwa. That indeed, those are very critical questions, and I had a couple of questions in mind as well. I'm not sure if you can address them now, but one of them was, to be honest, as a news agency, we really want to know how do you guys tackle those issues, mainly how advertising is killing the objectivity of the news itself, and so how do you manage to tackle this issue? I mean, how do you make sure that your news are not losing track and are really serving the purpose and objective?
Believe me, we are suffering. Everybody is suffering. It's not easy at all. And we cannot say that the company is making profit. It's not making profit. But AFP, I mean, Agence France Presse is a special case. It's not like Reuters, it's not like AP. It is also, it has some subsidized from the French government. And this is why we are able to continue. How we do objective news, we have reporters on the ground everywhere. We don't accept any gifts. We don't accept any money from anybody. When we are invited, we have to report that we were invited to do something. We are not allowed to go on a paid trip with, I mean, official organizations, and it's not easy. We have switched from text. I mean, we are working now on shorter text and on giving more on providing more videos, and video is working well. Photos are working very well. Arabic language has been doing well, but now we don't know. Now it's a time of difficulty for everybody.
Well, thank you very much, Mustafa. I think during our session in the end, we can discuss all your concerns among each other.
Yeah, I would like to know your opinion. Sure.
Thank you very much. So now, Mr. Ali Sabkar, I hope you're ready. It is time to move on to our next speaker. Mr. Ali Sabkar, of course, is the founder and president of Social Media Club MENA Bahrain, who was the first to lead the social media activities and events in Bahrain. I'm sure we've all heard of him or know him or see him somewhere.
Yes, sure.
He's all over social media. That's for sure. So, Mr. Ali, we'll leave the floor to you for your presentation.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna jump to my presentation. I'll share the screen. Okay, is it clear? Everybody
Yes.
can see it? Okay, good.
Yes.
So this is what happened before Corona period, before the pandemic. People attending events, taking pictures, publishing whatever they are seeing into the social media or online. As you see that everyone become online media creator. And this is what happened with all the screens that available. People are going through different activities, events, press conferences, especially when we talk about journalism and news. And this is what they do. They attend activities and they cover the activities onto the print or onto online. This is again pre-corona period where people are really attending the events in different activities and snapshotting and covering it live. Today, during this pandemic, we are all on Zoom, on different platforms, doing online, like this activity or this event, the virtual Bahrain conference, where meeting hundreds of people online and listening to them and watching their presentations. Things changed. People meeting each others from different countries, sharing knowledge, sharing information, doing their online meetings, even for companies and different things. So what's happening now? As per the statistics from Hotsuite and We Are Social, there are 3.8 billion people on social media. There are 4.5 billion people on internet. There are more than 5 billion people on mobile. So if you see all these digital platforms, social media, websites, mobile applications, all these numbers, 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion, is pushing everyone to share information online. So this is the biggest trend now we are seeing, that if any media are not online, then this does not exist. There is no use that you have only a TV or radio channel and you are not online to benefit from all these huge numbers. The digital growth in the past 1 year was huge. if you can see that there was more than 300 million new accounts on social media created. So the increase between 2019 and to 2020 was 8% increase in social media. On the internet users, there was also 7% increase on number of users online. On mobiles, there was 2.5% increase. So this means that every year they are increase and increase and increase. There is a growth of usage, of digital usage. Because of COVID-19, people were spending more time with devices and what we have been doing. So there are more than 76% on mobiles, 45% on computers, 32% on desktop computers, 22% on tablets, 34% more on smart TVs, 17% on game consoles, 18% on smart speakers, and 6% on smartwatches. So these numbers show us that we not need to be only on social media or websites, but there are also other devices that we have to co-op with them. In terms of the activities and digital activities, we can see that the trend showing us that there are more than 57% watching more shows and films on streaming services, 47% more usage on social media, 46% more usage on messengers, chatting, 39% more into the music and streaming services, the audio services, 14% more into podcasts. So audio. This means that any news company or media company have to think, where should I be and how can I share my news? Is it audio? Is it video? Is it text? Is it images? It shows that all these channels have increased in their usage. In terms of the behavior, we see the same thing. The behavior of users will continue. So we've been watching these reports and studying these reports. In April 2020, there is a recent report also just launched, shows also the same increase in every platform. In terms of the media habits, and this is very important for the media companies, that we see that internet users and digital users, what they are doing. So watching significantly more news coverage, 35%. 35% more people are online to watch news. So this is the best indicator for any news company that I have to be there. I have to share my news online immediately. I don't wait until 3 o'clock to broadcast it on TV or on the radio, or I have to wait for the print the next day. I have to have my own newspaper channels on digital platforms, website, social media, application, those three digital platforms. There are 29% increase in people watching videos. There are 24% increase in Messenger, in the chatting, 23% increase in the social media, and 19% increase in the broadcast TV, so which is the digital TV. So even if you are on TV, but you have to be linked to the digital, where people can watch your TV channel through the smart TVs. This is the ranking of the top apps in March 2020, and we see that the top app is TikTok, then WhatsApp, Facebook, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Zoom Clouds, Slap Kings, Draw Campers, Woodtranks, Netflix. So if you see the first 5 or the first 6 is very important. So this means that most of the companies, news and others, you have to have a presence in this area or in these platforms. Why? Because people are there. So if you want to increase your revenue or you want to increase your reach, you have to be where the people are using, the different platforms. Since we are in Bahrain and this event is Bahrain, let's look at some numbers in Bahrain. So in Bahrain, the population is 1.7 million people, 89% are urbanization. We have 2.19 million people on mobiles. This means that you can have access to your application up to 2 million people from Bahrain. The internet users are 1.67 million. If you have a website, then that's the reach that you can have it only from Bahrain, not even from outside. If you have social media, then we have 1.4 million accounts on social media from Bahrain. So this literally 84% of the population of Bahrain are on social media, on one of the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and others. So these numbers show us that even in Bahrain, with a small country, with a small population, you literally can reach every single person in Bahrain if you are online. Everyone. I mean, 99% are on internet, 84% are on social media, 131% are on applications, on mobile. And the growth in Bahrain show us that there was 5% increase in social media, 7% increase in internet users, and 1% increase in the mobile connections. If we see the financial, how it appears in digital, so 83% of the users, they have an account with one of the banks. This means they have credit cards or debit cards that they can use it for online subscriptions. If you are providing any online subscriptions to your online news or online broadcasting, 30% of them, they have credit cards, and 44% they are making online purchases. So the habit is there. People are doing that. People are purchasing online. And this is very important because a lot of news, they say that if we broadcast things online, how we can control it? You can control it because people used to pay online. If you provide exclusive news, exclusive material, you have to be unique. You have to be giving a unique content that people will pay for it, so you can survive as a media company. They announced in the newspapers that 16% is increase in the e-commerce by 2022. This means that we have to be ready. And with all this pandemic that happened, we saw how Amazon, for example, they recruited more than 100,000 people in the last 6 months. Why? Because the increase was huge. Today in Bahrain and in the Gulf, everyone went into the online applications to sell, because what happened was people were not able to go to restaurants because they're closed. Okay, there is no dine in, but you can buy online, you can purchase online, you can order online. The same thing happens for the news. In the past 6 months, there was more than 20% increase on the online stores in Bahrain. In the States, what happened during the 8 weeks, the last 2 months, was equal to the 7 years of the e-commerce. So look at the e-commerce of the retail. In 10 years, what happened? And in 8 weeks, what happened? So 8 weeks was equivalent to 7 years of growth. And this is huge. This means that we will never go back to where we are. We will always be online. We will always need the digital. You have to co-op with the digital. Since we're talking about the online news and online trends and the media trends, this is the trend. You have to provide something that people can watch online or read online. You have to provide a unique content. Once again, people say, why are we talking about e-commerce? Because content can be sold. This is what happened with Netflix. They're selling content. There's a subscription, okay? And other magazines, for example. In Bahrain, the Ministry of Commerce, they're pushing and encouraging companies to go online, and they created a website called mall.bh where you can join them and promote your online business or online application. A lot of online stores are available now online that you can join them. So you can choose any platform and you can be in different platforms. So new social media trends today, you have to be online providing those 5 media content. So video is important. even for newspapers, and we saw many local newspapers and regional newspapers, they started creating videos, developing videos for what's happening. Live video, you have to be live. Like yesterday, we signed a big deal in the States, and people was, watching this, and they want to follow up. So if you don't follow, if you don't cover it online and live, then you are outdated. You are so last year. Infographics, people don't read too much. There is no need for huge articles like, newspapers. They put like 400, 800 words anymore. With infographics, little small square posts, you can convey the message and you can make it clear. Animated stories, people, they interact with animations, and you have to have engaging votes, because today with social media and applications, you can know exactly what's happening with the people and what's in their mind. Ask a question, people start answering. Like today, our portal virtual Bahrain, there is a lot of polls and questions there, so people can answer the questions. You don't need anymore to call someone for his view. You put the question and people will start answering it, and newspapers can use that and came up with articles, came up with infographic, came up with content. So these are all trending things that news can co-op with and utilize to reach more people and to increase their engagement. Thank you very much. I hope I did my 15 minutes.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. Of course, this was extremely enlightening. All the statistics, some of them were well expected, some were a bit shocking. Of course, we have some questions on the website, and I have a lot of questions lined up for you.
Sure.
But I think it's best if we wait till the end
Okay.
in the discussion session to tackle them all.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. Now, I would like to leave the floor to our very dear Ms. Aziza Salman, founder and managing director of the Repugenic. Of course, she is the MD and founder of Repugenic, a reputation management boutique firm offering branding, positioning, and public relations services to corporate and personal clients. I think I've crossed paths with Ms. Aziza maybe in Bahrain TV. It's very
Right.
good to have you here with us today, Ms. Aziza, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I hope you're hearing me. My voice is clear enough. Trying to, I don't know. I'm just been moving into a new house, so a bit of hustle. I hope everything is clear. Yeah, can you hear me and see me clearly? Yeah.
Yep.
So thank you very much for having us here. Thank you. I would like to thank BTEC and SmartTech as well for inviting me to take part into this conference. As you said, I've been into different industries. I've been into the IT. I worked in the IT industry. I worked as a news anchor, as a PR consultant, and many other areas, which I think helps me into seeing a 360 degree of the whole landscape. Right now, I'm going to share my presentation and start with the first slide. Could you see the presentation?
Yes, perfectly
Okay.
clear.
Okay. So I'm going to be talking about big news. Just called it big news because, it's open, it's there. Everyone can have a news and everyone can make a big story out of anything. Just, if he has or he or she have the audience, you can create a news. You have all the tools you need. You have everything. You have the internet. And we're going to go deeper into that in a minute. So we're going to talk about trends transforming the news landscape. The contents, that's a roadmap. We're going to first talk about the trends transforming the news landscape are demographics, technology trends, revenue model, regulatory uncertainty, a new consumer behavior. Everybody is a content creator, as my colleague said and shared earlier. So what is transforming the news landscapes? Technology, of course, demographics, a new consumer behavior, regulatory uncertainty, and the revenue model, and everyone is a content creator. So demographics. We all heard about, how technology is consumed by different categories or generations, if we may say. So baby boomers, those who were born from 46 to 64, those people have different needs. Different. They would like to consume news differently. Their needs are different. What they want to know is different, and whether they are ready to pay for content is also different. They are consumer of traditional media. They like to still touch and smell paper. So there are the few people who are still paying for those and watching TV, conventional kind of media. They consume new media to follow and or know the news of their family, friends, like just within their circle of people who they know, and they are not willing to pay for media. So if we go to Generation X, for people who were born from the 65 to 79, those are still watching some traditional media. They're watching TV, they're watching, reading the news, and maybe sometimes even listening to the radio. But they also watch new media. They're on social media, on Snapchat, Facebook, every so many other outlets, and they are willing to pay for paid media, not in a big maybe not majority of them, but they still pay for the media. If we talk about Generation Y, which are the people who were born in 1980 to 1994, so those are the generation who used to watch. They had phones like when they're 10 years old almost. They took the mobile of their mothers and father all the time. They've been watching YouTube when they have cereals for breakfast. So these people are different. So their needs and their consuming needs of news is very different, totally different. So those are not very interested in watching traditional media, maybe like once in a while. um, uh, they are on new media, like all the platforms, and they are willing to pay for media. Like, they're still like, they just, some of them have just maybe in the university or just had jobs. So they are paying, like they have the money to pay for it, and but they're very conscious about what to do. Generation Z is the generation, the youngest generation, from people who were born on 96 to 2015, which my kids belong to that category as well. So those people, I have to really convince my children to sit and watch a movie on TV with me or do something. It's very hard to do so, let alone try to drag them to the cinema as well. I mean, which is a different thing, but still, it's very hard. They are very, very addicted to Netflix, gaming, some other portals, new media as well, and they all for like paid media. So they usually spend all my money, but that's okay. But those are the generations, and I don't know what generation is gonna come, after this. We are done with all the alphabetics, so I don't know if we're gonna start assigning something else, but let's see. Technology trends changing and transforming the landscape, the news landscape, are, we're going to start very, very, very from the 90s, like when file sharing was something very huge and big, like it just in a network, right? So there's a file sharing service available, and people can access the same folder. It was a very, very big thing. I know it sounds very um, like right now it's not technology at all. It's not an advancement, but it was something big, which opened the floor for media sharing music and content later on, which, the existence of iPods and music and everything else. And everyone was very excited at that moment. 2005, social media started, and the mobile and cloud started emerging. So uh, that's when the real revolution started, and people from then on, incurred in the media analytics, IoT, AI, VR, over the the Netflix and other paid content and paid media, edge computing, robotics, and drones. So that transformed the landscape dramatically. Revenue model has changed big time as well. So we no longer are reliant on the subscription or people just buying the editions of whether it's a newspaper or the advertisement as well. Things change and people have to find other ways to survive now. So advertising based revenue still exists, but it's people are trying to limit it because we're going to go into that as well. A user is looking for an experience and you don't want to be bothered with advertisement. So subscription is still there, but it's different. We're going to also talk about that, but subscription based revenue is already like the trend, and but people are trying to do more smart subscription based revenue and target specific needs according to the needs of the consumers. uh, Crowds funding and donations, you see sometimes when you go, like people are trying to raise, even if it's a small chips of money, but it adds when everyone puts a bit, so that helps in raising some amount of money to survive. Membership paywalls, like some of the portals and media outlets would offer two, three, four articles and or news, and then you have to pay for the rest. Customization revenue and microtransaction. Microtransactions are when in gaming, mostly in gaming, if you want to buy avatars or if you want to buy something to transform into the other level. So those are very small few amounts. Like if you have children, you think like, oh, someone will come, can I have $2 3 or to buy something that would really don't sound or feel like as a big amount. But if you put them all together, those microtransactions become a huge, large revenue. Data until revenue. Of course, once the news agency or outlet or let's say any portal knows and learns your behavior, they can make a behavior kind of a trend or target you in a way that they would sell better or have a better chance in selling and or customizing content just for you. And that's what I think the new generation really requires. They don't have time, they don't want to go through so many choices, they just want you or the outlet to give them or according to what you know of their usage, of their time, of their interests, and just customize a package for them. Regulatory uncertainty, of course, it's about intellectual property, but then people are not, we are dealing with a global market and content is everywhere. But if the regulatory framework is not ready enough, then people would use VPNs. They would find ways to go around it, which is, it needs to mature. It needs to have a kind of a global framework, a global like intellectual property to save the intellectual property. But right now there is no such thing. Data protection and privacy, of course, we all heard about the EU GDPR, the General Data Protection regulation that came out and changed everything. We all had messages, emails, and they are more aware of that they cannot use our data and sell it to a third party to make an insight and target us better and market specific products for us. Security, of course, that's the main issue, and I think so many colleagues talked about it and tackled it in other presentations before. New consumer behavior, of course, as I've mentioned before, consumers now are they don't want just media. They are looking for a user experience. They want to have the look and feel. Actually, what I find interesting, Those in Bahrain would understand what I'm gonna say, but Safa, I don't know if you would relate, and other, participants. But lately, 2 days ago, actually, only 2 days ago, Alexa, Amazon Alexa, have signed with Amitabh Bachchan, the Indian movie star, to have his voice in just his voice in Alexa. Like, he's going to be talking to people, like, and he has a lot of fans. Those who belong to Generation X, like myself, would understand that would be a very interesting experience, because back in the, I don't know, old days, I don't want to sound so old, but the most entertaining thing would be is watching a movie on Wednesday, an Indian movie on Wednesday. That was one of the main like events happening, at the time. So yeah, Amitabh Bachchan would be there, and soon so many celebrities would talk with you and give you the news and or interact in a voice of your celebrity of choice. Data on demand. So the new, especially Generation Z, they don't want to wait for a season or like episodes to be released every now and then. They want to watch a whole episode at once, and that also changes the strategy of whether it's marketing and or they don't have, if it's content, if it's the version, unpaid version, you won't have it anyway. But that's what they want. They want season to see a season overnight. They want to watch it anytime, anywhere, whether in gym, in the car. They want to continue where they left, anywhere, anytime. So that's also an important thing to consider. Privacy concerns and ad-free content, of course, they are better. They're aware more than the other generations of what could be done with their data. So they don't want their data to be used, and they are very conscious about giving information that would help the portals to make sense of and build intelligence. So that's also another concern. Everybody is a content creator, of course, and I think my colleagues also mentioned that. So we have freelancers now, we have bloggers, vloggers, social media influencers, amateurs entering the market and taking a piece of the cake of from all the outlets, agencies, and journalists. Business account handlers, actually, also, it's not only in the media industry. What's interesting is even Unilever recently, like worked or with Vice, and to kind of launch a product and have their media to sponsor talents. And so that's also other industries getting into the media landscape and news landscape. We have podcasters, we have brand ambassadors. So a lot of names came out that to be part of the ecosystem and to also compete and make it even harder for news agencies and conventional media to survive nowadays. So these are the references if you want to go through later on. And I think done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aziza Salman, for this very interesting presentation. Of course, I think we all, I mean, our speakers, they all complete each other. We have, it's a new transformation between how people used to rely on news agencies as television news, and how they're moving towards social media, as explained also by Ali and I think we have a couple of questions, if we can address them. I first want to ask a question of, now we've all talked about news transformation, online news transformation. Um, I mean, the question that asks itself, now as a recipient of those news, how do I differentiate between genuine, trustworthy news provider and another news provider, because I know that news agencies, they will always be the more trusted news provider. But the problem is nowadays, as we've all mentioned, that this generation and the upcoming generation, they need speed. So the speed of information transmitted to them and the ease and having them to look interesting plays a major point. So how do I, as a recipient, really differentiate and choose the right channel? I would like to start maybe with Mustafa. I know you'll be biased towards news agencies, but really, because I work also as a news reader, and I know that news are not something that once I hear it, it's not just like a WhatsApp that I send to a friend. There are a list of approvals that has to be, you know, maintained before we actually say it to the public. So how do you tackle this issue of having it, the news, I mean, having it to be speedy and accurate? You're on mute, Mustafa, if you can remove the mute.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. No, I'm not going to be biased, believe me, because being objective is something that is very, very, very important. And what we always say is that speed is very important, but accuracy is more important. Okay, so the most important is accuracy. And I would tell you that in like dozens, maybe hundreds of cases, we had the news, we had the piece of news, but we wouldn't give it, we wouldn't publish it until we have sometimes two sources, two reliable sources that confirm it. So for us, this is the values we work, this is the principles we work in this capacity as like news, as gatekeepers, if you want to say it. We talk about, now nobody talks about gatekeeper, but it's, we work as gatekeepers. We have to filter the news. You cannot imagine how much news we receive every day, but what we choose is that we need to be sure about this, the sources, about the accuracy of the news. It happens all the time. And let me tell you that journalists are human and they make mistakes. So if sometimes we have something that doesn't work, it's not because we don't want to be objective, but because we made a mistake because of lack of time, of fatigue, of being young, of all these things. Now, for the readers, we have now a big issue with fake news. And AFP has a page on Facebook. It's called Al-Akhbar fil Mizan, or Mizan AFP, Mizan France Press, where they publish news that have been fake news videos, especially video, and they tell you why it is fake and where it was made. This, it's about like somebody would tell you that there was a demonstration in Sudan against, I don't know, for bread. And then you discover this is not in Sudan. This is in another African country. It has nothing to do with it. Some people will say that the Palestinians are, I don't know, having clashes with Israelis in a place that is, these people, they don't look Palestinian. And so you have to go, and there are ways to check with each video with the print, with this what we call the stamp or the video print, to know where it was taken, when it was taken. All this is present in the what we call it, the metadata. Okay, so we learn about it, and we start and we publish this video, and we say that they are fake. So always we tell people that whenever you have something on WhatsApp, on Viber, if they use Viber, on Facebook, do not share it. Do not share it until you are 100% sure that this news is correct and is valid. So it's not easy. I mean,
Yes, that's true. Mr. Ali, if you have any input on that, on how do we, as recipients, differentiate the news when we read them on social media? Um, Maybe Mr. Ali is not here with us now. Ms. Aziza, we would like to hear your input as well.
Yes, Sarah. Well, I do think that, social media brings a lot of sources. So definitely not all sources will be credible. But sometimes it's just also, now I don't want to, I'm not sure if I should talk from an aspect of news aspect or the PR aspect, because sometimes in a PR it's a good way. Sometimes you want some people to talk, credible sources, sometimes uncredible sources, just to,
Yeah.
so many things to talk about. But
Mhm.
um, you would know from the history of the entity or a person, whether
Mhm.
he is he's putting his real name, his real picture, so that would give you also a lead of whether he's sticking to his word, or he just like impersonating or putting like a nickname that would show that fake news. For agencies, I'm sure everyone knows the direction, and or if I wouldn't say, but sometimes some agencies have propaganda or an agenda or something, but then people would know from history and from what happened and what they said before, so that also would be expected.
Mhm. Okay. Just wondering if Mr. Ali is with us. I think not. Anyway, so I want to tackle a question that was asked by the audience to Mustafa. It says, how has the internet changed news reporting in specific? We've talked a bit about that in your presentation as well. But so how has the internet changed news reporting?
So in the past, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. In the past, I have been working for so many years in the news. We used to like go to the field, report from the field. We
Mhm.
go, we visit, we can attend a news conference, we can attend an event, and then we come back. We come back and we work at in the office for a news that we were, of course, we were as news agencies. We were sending the news instantly. At whatever happens, it happens at like we published during 24 hours. We don't sleep. Okay. This was something different because people used to take it the next day. They will know the next day about what happened. And sometimes they wouldn't know until the day after. Because if we publish a news like after 7 o'clock in the evening, nobody is going to catch it. With the time of internet, there is no pity, there's no mercy. You have to publish the news now, and before now, not now, yesterday, not today, even. Before it happens, we start preparing for the news. Like yesterday, we had the signature of the two agreements in Washington. We had to prepare days before about it. We have to give advances. We have to enlighten the readers and give them a context of what is happening and why is this happening and what to expect from this news. So we are always pre-preparing days before, sometimes a week before, to be able to give our reader or the viewers. I want to make something clear also here. We are not a business to customer provider. We are business to business provider. We don't give our news to the customer. So a customer, a viewer, a reader will go and read and see or hear about our news through another outlet, through radio, TV, newspaper, online newspapers, whatever, online outlets. So in this way, I'm seeing that the internet made us very nervous, and we have something called pointage in this, that will measure how many seconds we gave the news before or after another news agency, let's say, or another website or outlet. So now we are more nervous, we work more, we are around the clock working, we are giving more news. And sometimes what's happening now, how the internet changed, is that we are obliged to give many versions of the same news throughout the day. We started
Yes.
from like 6 o'clock in the morning and we finish maybe 6 o'clock the next day. So we are always updating, and this is very important.
Yeah, and I can also confirm on what you're saying, since we also use AFP's news. We do have updates, as they say, on the hour, every hour. We have maybe within the same context. I have another question that says, how did you cope with the online news transformation? I think you pretty much answered that. If there's anything you would like to add on how you coped with this online news
Um,
transformation.
the main challenge for us was to move from text to
Mhm.
videos, because when we started, we are, I can call ourselves, we are like dinosaurs. We are there for like 200 years, and we
Yeah.
have some customs we do, some rituals, some ways of collecting news, of gathering news, of broadcasting news. So we are still working on text. And sometimes you say, who's going to read 500 words? Yes, right, this is correct. Nobody is going to read. But what we do always is we give the piece of news that is the most important in the first 100, 150 words, and you can decide if you want to go and read more or know more about what is happening. This depends on the reader or the viewer or the user. So the big challenge for us was to move from text into internet media, like having the text with the video, text with graphics, and text with soundbite, and maybe direct the direct the web I mean direct wire, and sometimes live broadcasting, and also of course the photos. And now, like, what we are doing, we are not only working with text, we work with text and all accessories that are there that we have to give them, we give them ready to the subscribers. So the most important for us is to transfer from text, from writing, which was very dear to our, our work, into video and broadcasting and podcasting and things like this. This was the
Okay.
most difficult.
Thank you very much, Mustafa. Mr. Ali, welcome back. I know we had
Thank
some
you.
technical issues. We have a question here online for you. We've kind of discussed this when you were away, but this is directly to you. What is your stand regarding fake news, especially
Yeah,
on social media?
yeah. So again, we need to go always with the source of information, and the source of informations are two sources of information. The first source is the government accounts. So if there is something related to any country, you go back to the online news agency of that country, where you can find that news. The second one is for the companies. If the company announced or any organization announced something, you go and check out that organization. We receive a lot of fake news on WhatsApp, on Twitter. Very simple. What you can do is copy that text, go to Google, and paste it. You will find if there is a source for it or not. That's the easiest way to find out if the news is fake or not. Now, sometimes you can't see the news on Twitter, or sorry, on Google, because
Mm-hmm.
companies, they don't publish the news first on their website. Okay, even some government organizations. All right, so you have to be careful here and evaluate whether this news is impacting the community or not, if this news came from any source, if this news you really want to share it with other people, will it benefit other people or not, or you just wait for a few couple of hours until it comes on the website.
Mm-hmm.
uh, Now, Twitter, for example, and Facebook, they have also a very strict fake news and copyrights issues,
Mm-hmm.
whereby sometimes they delete the content if they find it's really a fake news. And it happened last month on Twitter, where Twitter was deleting a lot of news and a lot of tweets from leaders of the big countries, from the leaders of some organizations, where they says that this news or this information is not accurate, and it's been deleted, you know. So we need to be careful with how to receive the news. And the easiest way to do is you go back to the original source of that news. Twitter announced just last week that they will fight with fake news by deleting any duplicates in the news, or duplicate on the tweets. So you have to go back with the first person who tweeted that information, or the tweet, or the first verified account that tweeted that information.
Okay. Of course, when you say that people should wait when they receive the information and check, how do you think, what do you think is the right mechanism to actually teach people that who are constantly on a race to
Yeah,
who is going to send it before? Who am I going to hear it from
true,
first?
True, true.
People are constantly trying to send information, even if it's just like maybe 3 or 4 words in a text, just to show that, oh, I heard this like 5 minutes before you sent it.
Yeah.
So,
I think we have two ways.
yeah.
Okay, the first way is we as professionals in the field to talk more about this and
Mhm.
how it will affect if it was a bad news or fake news and you tweet it, how it affected other people when someone believe it and react negative way or believe it and do an action and that action will go back to him negatively. Okay, so we need to talk about it. Professionals, organizations, societies, government have to do awareness campaign about fake news and the real news. Okay, that's one
And I
way.
must say that, sorry to interrupt you, that Bahrain, I mean, a lot of entities are actually doing that.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes.
yes.
Now, the
Okay.
second one is to showcase the problem with fake news, the problem with speeding in believing any news we got and sending it back. So we need to have some case studies to show that when you publish a fake news, what happened? It happened that it damaged the reputation of that organization, or it damaged that stock, for example. It damaged that reputation of a product, or it damaged or it gave reflected badly on someone, then he got bombarded with bad words, or he got bombarded with
Mhm.
things. So we
Mhm.
have to show the reaction and the results of bad or fake news by
Yeah.
showing that case study and repeatedly. I like some accounts that they show the fake news with the real news. They put the
Yeah.
comparison.
It's
And
like what Mustafa just said. Yeah, they have this
okay.
Mizan initiative
Yes, so I
in
think it's
UAE.
nice that there is in UAE they have one, in Saudi Arabia they have one,
Mhm.
and that shows that this is a real fake news. Don't believe it because the real news was this. Okay, and if we do that, I think we are helping in stopping the bad news or the fake news from speeding up from the users.
Mhm. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Ali. That was very helpful. Now, I would like to ask a question regarding news presence on social media. You've showed us a slide with the top applications. I think number one was TikTok.
Yeah,
I know that a lot of maybe professional companies or news agencies and companies, if this is what we're tackling now, some of them wouldn't uh, choose all of those platforms to
true.
actually have presence in. So, would you think that they should
No,
go to applications like TikTok and Snapchat, or do you think those applications should have something to serve them? Like your inputs on this.
yeah, yeah. So when we choose social media channels that we should utilize, it depends on the strategy of the social media of
Mhm,
that entity. In the social media strategy, we always put the target audience.
mhm,
Okay, so who is your target audience? And it also depends on the campaign objectives. So if you are targeting a specific age group, a specific industry, then you choose the right channel. Okay, we know TikTok and Snapchat are real TV. It's like a real TV shows. All
yeah.
right, more into entertainment, comedy, fashion, and this. So those type of news could go there because the type of users are keen to receive those type of information, and they
Mhm,
will react, they will engage. Okay,
mhm,
when you're talking about politics and you talk about sports, you talk about stuff that are serious. Okay, then no, you have to choose the other type of platforms like Twitter, Instagram. When you talk about business, financials, real estate, management, then you choose LinkedIn, for example. So every platform has different users and has different type of target audience. When we say TikTok was top in the last 6 months, it's not because companies are using it. It's because people in the last 6 months, they wanted to entertain themselves, you know.
Mhm.
So they want, they, we are living in a very bad area or period, and people are having, fed up from this heavy and bad news everywhere. So they want to, relieve themselves through Snapchat or TikTok. And
Mhm.
TikTok also, they pushed heavily that we have the tool for you to create, different things. We can see that TikTok now being used by teenagers a lot, not
Mhm.
only
Yeah.
adults. All right. And so that also it's a bit dangerous, that age group is different. So maybe the companies who are having products for kids, they're starting going to TikTok, okay, using influencers, for example, to promote stuff things. But
Yeah.
again, we didn't say that. I didn't mean that because they are top six and you have to be there. It
Mhm.
depends. If your target audience are there, then you have to be there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I also wanted to seek your opinions, maybe with Mr. Ali and Ms. Aziza as well, on social media influencers and those who kind of use some news and in their channels. And I mean, they do have a lot of influence on other people. So, do you think it's something that they should should be encouraged, or should be stopped and used only for news channels? What's your input on that?
No, I think it's their right to use whatever content they want to talk about.
Mhm.
Okay, they have huge number of followers. I'll give you an example of yesterday. Yesterday was the Apple news. Apple announced their latest products and they announced their latest editions. So we saw a lot of influencers in the digital and devices field. They talked about Apple, and that is news. Apple didn't pay any influencer, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because I am an expert in devices and smartphones, I talked about Apple. And we saw that. They created infographics, they talk about it. I'm not talking about politics now. I give you an example, which is, devices and commercial.
Yes.
We cannot say to that guy, don't talk about Apple because it was a news. This
Mhm.
is his target audience. He specializes in digital and smartphones,
Mhm.
and the target audience, his target audience, they are keen to hear from him. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, if you are in fashion, you talk about the fashion news. Okay. But are you talking about political news? Is that right or not? It depends again if that will affect negatively on you. All right.
Mhm.
Um, Myself, I'm into social media and marketing. I avoid talking in politics. So when
Mhm.
someone talk to me and answer and questioning me, what do you think of this political uh,
Mhm.
thing?
Something.
I will leave it for the expert. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not expert in explaining what happened and why it happened. I can talk about marketing. I can talk about social media channels. No problem. So I think
Mhm.
also it comes to if you can talk about it and you are an expert in this field, talk about it. If you are not an expert, then you might convey a wrong message. You might say, this is my opinion, okay? And influence people that they follow you with your opinion,
Mhm.
okay? Sometimes you will have people who are against you. It's like, sports. When you are talking about Real Madrid, then
Yeah.
Barcelona fans will come and attack you, you know? So compare this to also politics. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ms. Ali. Ms. Aziza, do you think you agree with Ali's opinion?
Of course, I think social influencers are, they had the crowd because they had content,
Mhm.
at least to a segment of people. So I think it's a great thing to influence, and it's a, it's one of the news. Like, he's a news agent, the influencer, so he can
Mhm.
affect people either positively or even negatively. So um, we don't, unfortunately, we don't have an entity or something that, right now to kind of license and I don't know if that's something we need. I mean, you need also, the freedom to express, and you need some creative people on social media platforms. So I'm with it, but people should be very not everyone has the time, so you have to be picky about the content that influencer is providing and whether it's adding value to you or not.
Mhm. I think this also leads to, I mean, what Mr. Ali was talking about, which would be a very great idea about the repercussion of maybe this is we were talking about fake news, but also the repercussions of, I mean, sometimes I would come out and say, well, this is my opinion, but, and then people will get influenced anyways, whether it's my opinion or whether it's right or wrong. Mustafa, how do you feel about that? People expressing their opinions or sharing news on their social media platforms.
I think that influencer want to share their opinion because they are influencers. I mean, this
Mhm.
is why they are doing this, and they are happy and they measure likes. I know people who like start telling me, "Oh, I don't know, 5 million likes, 1 million likes, 2,000 likes, 5,000 likes," and they live by it. So whether they are telling the truth or not the truth, there is always a way to tell something that is true, but in a different way to influence people and get a reaction from them. Okay, mainly these people, they want to have more tweets, but are they really, do they really like target a change?
Mhm.
We talk about impact in media. Are they willing to impact people to which, what is their agenda? What is their, let's not say agenda, what is their aim? What is their objective? Why are they doing this? And I think it's very dangerous, it becomes very dangerous when somebody is using social media for an agenda. This is very dangerous in this case. And I don't know what will happen soon when you see all these people who are like publishing this fake news everywhere. I mean, of all sort of fake news every day. And I can, I don't know. I wanted for this session, by the way, to make it about fake news, and then I didn't have enough time to interview the people who are involved in it, and this is why I didn't prepare it. But it's really painful. It's really painful. I mean, you see photos of like destroying a mosque somewhere. It's not
Mhm.
true. You see a photo about killing Muslims somewhere. It's not true. You see,
Mhm.
I mean, sharing the content of a song, which is not true. The translation is not correct. You see, and yeah, these people, I think that they have malintention. They have ill and malevolent. I mean, they don't have good intention. A lot of them don't have. So we have to be careful. We have to be very aware what we say. A lot of people ask me for my opinion about things, and I learn to say, I don't know. I am not the expert. Or
Mhm.
please be careful. Don't share this. And I always say it, be careful and don't share this. This is wrong. Don't share it. I do it all the time.
Mhm. That's absolutely true. So in Bahrain, the news sent in WhatsApp is practiced. How effective is it, and what are the pros and cons of sharing news on WhatsApp?
This
I don't
is
know
for
if
me.
any of you who was who
No,
wants to
it's
take
very important to share news on WhatsApp. I
it.
receive everyday news on WhatsApp. I receive all the newspapers. I receive in PDF and online version. It's very important to share news on WhatsApp. It is how many users you said in the word Ali? You
WhatsApp, they
said
have 2 billion people.
2 billion people. So it's very important to share news on WhatsApp. And I think a lot of people are doing this,
Yeah.
but you have to be very careful, really careful, because there is a lot of fake news and something that would instigate anger, would instigate a reaction. Why do we want to do that?
Mm,
I
See,
mean,
WhatsApp is a communication channel.
mhm,
hmm,
That's the job of WhatsApp. It's a distribution channel.
exactly.
Okay, so if you tweet something and you publish it, then you want to send it to people who subscribe to your list. on WhatsApp, because this is how they use WhatsApp now, WhatsApp for business. You
Mhm.
subscribe to WhatsApp service and you start receiving the news. You can stop receiving the news, or
Yes.
you can subscribe to receive the news. So WhatsApp is just a distribution channel for your news or for your products or for your promos, and it will help you to reach more people. The
Mhm.
issue is when you publish any content on social media, it does not reach 100%. In social
Yes.
media, there is a limitation because when you publish, it goes to the people who are online in the same time, or
Mhm.
who are online in few hours. For example, on Instagram, you cannot reach more than 25% of your own followers,
Mm.
okay?
Mm.
Unless you
Facebook,
start
I think.
paying sponsor ads. So what
Mhm.
can you do? You have to find other channels.
Mhm.
WhatsApp channel is your channel, is your place.
I am a member of a group that has been created by Dr. Ahmed Sharida في الأردن. It is
Mhm.
called الإعلاميون البيئيون العرب. It's about environmental journalists, Arab environmental journalists. There are people from everywhere in the Arab country, and I learn a lot through this group. I can tell you, I have a lot of news, a lot. Sometimes we have fake news, yes, and here. People who are professional, who are specialists, yes, they can make mistake. I can make a mistake. The other day there was um, a report published about how safe is it to grow for children to grow up in a country, and they cited Oman, Sultanate Oman, and Jordan among the the worst places, 10 worst places to for a family to grow up their children, to raise their
Wow.
children. Is this true? I mean, I was asking, what is their classification? How did they do it? So maybe sometimes if you have doubts, you may send the news, but with question, and make people think about it, and maybe somebody will answer your question.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, this has been very interesting. I would like to wrap up this session with a question of news going digital. We are talking about the transformation of news. So, news going digital, how is it helping Bahrain in an economical point of view? What do you think? How can it help Bahrain? I would leave the floor to anyone who would like to start.
What's the question again? It's about.
The news going digital, how
Oh,
is it helping Bahrain in an economical point of view?
okay. So I can, Aziza, I think maybe you should answer this.
Okay, I'll do. Um, so it depends whether we're talking about, all the crowd talking about Bahrain taking pictures. There's so many means of doing that. If we talk about news as a targeted campaign, like, as a PR endeavor. So if we talk about a hashtag of something or an event, or sometimes like the spring of culture and or events and or conferences, we always have hashtags, we have drives that we can market, and it could reach the world with the right handles. So that's a way, taking pictures, posting more content, tagging Bahrain. Being everyone could be a correspondent. You have a mobile phone, you have your portal and or platform where you can share, and that's all contribute into showing our Bahrain to the world.
Mhm. Okay, so that is a positive influence, of course. Mr. Ali or Safa, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, see, today, PR, digital PR is very important for.
Mhm.
So when your news are online, okay, it will reflect on the presence of the country. Okay, for example, today when you go to YouTube, unfortunately, we don't have enough videos about Bahrain.
Mhm.
It's disaster. Okay, so maybe from virtual Bahrain, we are inviting all the people into video production and all the companies, the PR companies. I will not say government, but let's say, at least the private entities and youth, is to produce content about Bahrain and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Twitter, yes, we have many on Facebook, on Instagram. We have many pictures. The problem with Instagram and Facebook, they are closed channels. You cannot look, you cannot Google it. It's not like Twitter. So Twitter, yes, you can Google things, Google index tweets, but websites, YouTube, it's a big time. When you search, you can find the stuff. So
Yeah.
all this helps Bahrain to have a better presence, whereby I remember I brought more than 200 expats to Bahrain. First
Mhm.
thing they do, they go online, Google, and they search the word Bahrain. You know, so some of them refuse to come, and most of them they love to come. They say, "Oh, this is Bahrain. This is not Bahrain." And so why? Because when they Google, they find a lot of stuff. Today, Bahrain is giving a lot of opportunity for investors.
Mhm.
And how come if those information are not available online, then the investors first thing when they Google it, they can't find all the solutions and all these facilities. So
Mhm.
it is important for digital and for the economy.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Mustafa, would
And
you
if I
like to
may
add?
add,
Yeah.
sorry, can I just
Sure.
add a quick thing? Also, I think in that area, and as you asked before, social influencers, Bahraini social influencers would really contribute in making Bahrain heard and creating a fan base that would really like that person and then attribute the person and the experience also to Bahrain,
Yeah, especially in this coming generation. Yes, we do.
of course.
When we see all this food in Kuwait, we would love to go and just, yeah, yeah, it is true. But again, it's like what Mr. Ali said. Maybe this cannot be Googled. So for those who are far away who want a better picture, yes, I do agree that some channels are. I mean, we have the lack of content in some channels as a country. Mustafa, if you want to add on this point, and also
Yes,
any closing remarks, if you may have.
yes. Okay, I want to say that about digital Bahrain. It is very important, and we have to think when we create, when we have a content, we have always to think about the reach of the content, as Ali said. So, how are if we make a content, we put a video, but how many people are going to view it? How do we encourage people to view things? First of all, it has to be really creative. It has to be approached in a different way, not in a traditional way, and it has to show the best that we have in an honest way. We have
Mm.
to be able to reach these, I mean, people that we want them to view it, and it's not easy. I know it's very difficult. Anyway, I want to thank every one of you. It was really enriching. It was really, it opened a lot of questions in my head. It gave me a lot of answers about things I didn't know before. And I want to thank you so much, Sarah, for your moderation. It was really, really streamless and seamless and very, very encouraging and entertaining. Also, I had that entertainment. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Aziza. It's the first time I see Aziza. I don't know if I saw you before, but Ali, I saw him many times. Every time I come to Bahrain, I used to see Ali. I
You're
hope we
hogging
are.
social media.
Hopefully, you can come back to
I'd love
Bahrain.
to see.
I hope we are going to say Corona is over and we will be able to meet again.
Sure,
Thank
I
you
hope
so
so.
much.
Inshallah.
inshallah.
I hope so. Thank you very much, Ms. Mustafa. It was a great honor to be here in your presence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies first, Ms. Aziza.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone who joined the session, and thank you, Sarah. And hopefully, we added some value and inspired, the audience. And hopefully, see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Ali, we end it with you.
Yeah, I like to thank you personally and thank Virtual Bahrain for hosting us. It was a very rich session. And since we're talking about news, once again, fake news, please avoid it. Avoid any news that will not help you to grow or to reach your objectives. Very simple. You share only anything, any content that will help you to achieve your objectives, whatever is the objectives. Is it commercial? Is it charities? Whatever, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I hope people learn that it's really, it's not a race. ladies and gentlemen. Let's all be objective and focus on our goals. Yeah, well, thank you very much. It has been a great honor and it was very entertaining. I don't even know how the time passed. Well, I've learned a lot from your experiences, and I'm sure that the audience did as well. Thank you and hope to see you soon. This is the end of our session, and I think only the closing remark session is up at 3 o'clock. So hope to see you, inshallah. Pass it
Thank
on.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much, Miss Sarah.
much.
It was a very informative session, as you mentioned. For all of the
Mhm.
audience, you can also take advantage of the virtual exhibition while waiting for the closing session, which will start at 3 p.m. You'll see, and you can network with 50 exhibiting companies from various sectors from the exhibition also in the platform. Thank you so much to Ms. Sarah and all of our speakers today, Ms. Aziza, Mr. Ali, and Ms. Safa. See you
Thank
soon.
you so much.
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.